because this is the year of change. So whatever it is that you're dealing with, that you're going through, don't sweat it. Let it flow. Don't yield to it, but let it flow because God allowed it so that we can grow and become productive. See, the word trial, I'll get back to the worship part in a little bit, but I wanted to lay this foundation because why is it that we freak out every time we go through it? We lose our job, we freak out. Something happens, we freak out. See, the word trial is defined as a test or an examination of your character. Did you know that? Who are you? You'll never know until you go through a trial. So you have to examine your character. So when trials come, we are to receive them with joy. We don't like to hear that. Boy, you don't know the stuff I've been going through with this house. It drives me crazy. But I have to keep cool. I got to be cool. Because nobody really cares, to be honest. People walk by me, they don't care. They don't know. They don't really want to know. And I'm all frustrated. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I go to bed. Come on. But we have to receive them with joy, recognizing a God-given opportunity to identify whose specific character flaws we need to change. You got that? That's what trials does for you and me. It gives you an understanding as to where those flaws are and deal with them. So we need to change. So what we can love more purely. Because this, when you come out of a trial, boy, you're going to appreciate. Man, it's going to be great when you come out. And when you see these people that you love, you're going to love them more. You know, there's something about a trial. And I learned this from this story because these three brothers, man, these guys, they were, when we get to glory, I want to shake their hands. I want to give them a hug. I mean, could you imagine? These brothers were down. They were driven. They didn't care because they trusted in the God that was able to do all things. So the first thing is that this crazy guy, Nebuchadnezzar, wanted everyone to worship the image. Well, let me tell you, we don't do that. Somebody brought me a statue of a saint, and we took it in the back, and I took a sledgehammer. That brother didn't say nothing to me. They say, stop. That statue didn't say, please don't break me. Is an image. There's no life there. So I tore it up, threw it in the garbage. They worship statues, but they attack the real saints, the living saints. They talk about the living saints, but they worship the statue. Something's wrong up here. So they wanted, again, 11 times it appeared, the word worship. And worship is the foundation on which the ethical life of God's people is built. It's the ethical, I'm telling you. This is the way we live. When we come to church to worship. And ministers, we come to worship. We worship Him, but we got to be working too. We can't be closing our eyes and people are suffering over here trying to get prayed for. So we come to worship, but also to worship. So there's something powerful here. When we worship, there is something powerful. And Nebuchadnezzar knew that. They worship the statue, they're like worshiping him. Worship is power, brethren. The most meaningful and powerful worship always comes at a price. Think about it for a minute. Okay. It comes with a price. I just said meaningful and powerful worship always comes with a price. When we come and worship God in this house, we are actually fighting, and we don't even know this. We're fighting against satanic forces. This is why when you see people cringing and they leave because they can't handle it. Because worship is power. Power. Even though the devil does come to church once in a while. He comes. Maybe not Mr. Devil, but his boys come. Because how in the world can you come into an atmosphere of such power and worship unto God and still have anger and bitterness towards somebody? I don't understand that. So the devil comes. I'm not calling the person a devil. I'm saying their influence. But have you noticed when all of a sudden the worship begins to move and move, everything just settles. And then we find ourselves in a different place. Our whole being of our lives placed on his altar. We come and we prostrate ourselves in his altar and say, God, I'm not worthy, but help me. But this brother was so full of pride that he wanted that statue to be worshipped. But these brothers, I said, that not so. Because the Bible tells me that the only one we worship is our God. Huh? Jehovah, Elohim, or whatever they would call him in those days. But they knew that I'm not worshiping no statue. I'm not going to do that. And it doesn't have to go with statue. It could be anything. It could be anything. Now, I got to say this, that there are times that people will challenge you. And they'll say things to see if you will do. Now, I'm going to be talking to the ministers Sunday, but there's a situation that popped in front of me, and don't talk for me. Don't talk for me. So a situation has arisen, which I talked to you, brethren, that I have to deal with it in a very delicate manner. Because if I go this way, they'll talk about me. If I go this way, they'll talk about me. But I don't care all I know, I got to stay in what is right. What is biblical, you see. So there's a situation. So people talk because they're not worshiping properly. So this bitterness, this anger begin to surface, and they'll throw words out there and put you in a position where now I'm in a not a very difficult situation, but a very tight situation that I need to wiggle my way out of there in the Bible. But again, these are folks that are not worshiping God from the heart. They're worshiping from their mouth. That's it. So they come in, hallelujah, and all this, but their heart was not in it. So they'll say things, they'll do things, or whatever the case may be. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we are the worshipers that God has called to give him praise. So if anything else comes into play, I'm not going to deal with that. We don't have to deal with that. If the golden image is before us, what are you going to do? Well, I'd rather just bow. Lord, you know I don't mean this, but I don't want to die either. I don't want to go in no fiery furnace, so I'll just bow down. But in my heart, I'm not bowing down. That's a cop-out, man. You understand what I'm saying? Keep it real. If you're going to live for God And if you're not willing to die for him, then you're just playing church. Did I say it right? You're just playing church. In the life of every worshiper, there will come times when worship meets suffering. Somewhere in your experience, worship is going to meet suffering. And now what are you going to do? Those brothers, it was not suffering, it was death. But for us, sometimes it meets suffering. And these moments shape what kind of worshipers you will become. Are you going to be true unto God? Are you going to worship him when you're angry, when you're upset, or when you're happy? You got to worship him in every state. I know it's rough, but it could be done. And it has been done. It has been done. Because all the hell that some of us in this room right here, because all of us has a thorn. Every one of us has a thorn. We have gone through so much hell in life. But you're still here. You still became that kind of worshiper. And you're not going to compromise with a golden image. You know, you're going to worship him in spirit and in truth. So through worship, God works on our behalf. I said, he works in our behalf. No matter what it is, no matter how you feel, he's fighting. He's working in our behalf. So you need to stand firm while you face the fires of life, the trials of life, the pains of life. You got to stand firm. Because our children are watching how you respond. Talk to me now. Our children need to see that mom and daddy are true worshipers. This mom and dad, man, I want to be like them. Nothing moves them. Because they love God. They're committed. I learned from this story. I'm just sharing with you what I learned from this story. I got something out of this. So he repairs and renews my relationship with him. Notice that. He repairs because somewhere we get entangled. Somewhere our faith becomes a little, iffy and we get a little weak here and there. We can't pray because my eyes get, come on here. But he repairs us. He renews us so that we could have a relationship strong, powerful, and mighty with you. Is that okay? So, in verse 8 through 12, when you get a chance, I'm not going to read it all because it's so lengthy, but notice here the Chaldeans maliciously accused the Jews. Remember, that was in verse 8. They also used derogatory language when referring to certain Jews, whom Nebuchadnezzar had appointed over the portions of this kingdom. He was talking about these three brothers here. Hey, look, they didn't bow. In the church, there's no competition. Ain't nobody here preaches better than nobody. Over here, we're not an American, what America Got Talent stuff. Church Got Talent, that doesn't go here. If you're going to be a preacher, you preach from your heart in the spirit of the living God. And we're all different. All of us are different. Elder G preaches his style. Elder Piper, his style. Evangelist, their style. Minister, we all have different styles. We're not competing here. But somewhere in this place, jealousy came into play. And I'm going to tell you, it's real. It is so real. Because coming up in the church, I wasn't impressing anybody. I came here because God brought me out of darkness into his light. He brought me out of the filth of sin and disgrace, and he poured upon me his grace. So I was grateful. So I did whatever I did because I loved him. So there were people that were jealous. They started accusations. That's right. And this is what happened there. So I learned from this story that Nebuchadnezzar had these 3 boys, but they were faithful. These brothers were faithful. But as soon as they came against what he wanted, see, this is the problem. People that are full of pride can't win with them. Can't win with them. And ladies, those that are not married, I pray God that God will give you a sensitivity, that the gift of discernment will be so powerful upon you that you would smell the nasty smell of pride. Talk to me. You smell it and say, man, I'm getting away from this brother here. Because it's contaminating. It will destroy whatever it touches. So finally, they went beyond the truth by stating, these men, O king, verse 12, pay no attention to you. Look, they're not even listening to what you said, king. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego showed up, dressed up in proper attire. In verse 21, they weren't supposed to do that. Yet the Chaldeans accurately stated that they did not worship the idol. They just flat out said, these brothers are rebellious, O king. Accusations. Many applications flow from this section. Many applications. But I'm just telling you what I picked up. As I read this story, I picked this up. And some have been maliciously accused when others go beyond the truth to make an accusation stick. My neighbor didn't have a way to work. Well, he worked in a bar. He asked me, I'm a Christian man, can you drop me off as you go to church today? Because my car broke down. I said, sure. I drove the man, dropped him in front of the bar, and I sped off. Later, these haters began to accuse, saying that I was in the bar drinking. Are you hearing me now? These are people that will come and accuse you of things. Application has to be made as well as concerning how to live in a secular society. We must not violate what God commands, even when cultural religious threats become difficult. So they accused me of something that the heck you talking about? And it spread throughout the neighborhood that the preacher was in a bar drinking some Bacardi. With a twist of lime. Vaya. But see, there are 5 things that we need to be careful with, because there are 5 things that sometimes we won't be able to recover in life. This is why people talk too much. One of the things, a stone after it's thrown, that's it. When? Oops, sorry, too late. The brother's got 5 stitches now. Number 2, a word after it's said is said. That's why we got to be careful what we say, how we say it. Got to be careful with words now. You can't take it back. Accusations. And then thirdly, an occasion after it's missed is missed. Oh, we have a birthday party. Oh, heck, I ain't going to no birthday party. And it turns out that birthday party, if you would have gone, you could have touched somebody's life. But it's gone. Finished. So we have to think. Time after it's gone is gone. Don't waste your time. Invest your time in whatever you do. And fifthly, of course, trust after it's lost is lost. It takes time to trust someone, and in 2 seconds you could destroy that trust. And then it's going to take another couple of years to bring it back. Accusations is a rough thing, brother. It's tough. And I believe that I learned from this because I was being under attack. When I read this, I couldn't understand it until I figured it out. Oh, wait a minute. How did they handle this? Sometimes you just don't say nothing. Let the Lord handle it. Discussions are always better than arguments. Have you ever noticed that? Let me tell you why. Because an argument is found out who is right. In an argument, I'm right. You wrong. You're a knucklehead. I'm not a knucklehead. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm right. But a discussion is to find what is right. What is right doesn't matter. In an argument, you're never going to win. Because whoever thinks is right is right. So remove yourself from arguments and stay with discussions. Not who is right, but what is right. What is right? As I said, I learned a lot from this story. I promise I did. Because I was living it. And then in verse 13 through 18, Nebuchadnezzar has a temper tantrum. This brother has some issues. He was the king. And have you ever noticed people that are in authority? Like say your boss, they want to prove that they are the man. Well, listen, they don't have to do that. I don't have to convince you I'm a man. Just look at me. Look at me. Right? But some people got to take their authority and they got to belittle people. And that's what Nebuchadnezzar was doing here. In verse 13 tells us, and then verse 19 and 29. He does ask, is it true? Perhaps the king thought they did not understand. Because see, that's what pride does. They want to clarify. Wait a minute. You sure? You did understand, right, that you had to worship the golden image. Yes? I ain't going to do that. What? And he blew a fuse. He blew a fuse, but he had to ask the question, see. And this is why we humans do that, don't we? Did you say that? Yes? Yep. You blow a fuse. But if you don't want no problem, you say no, so you lie. Now you're in bad terms with Jesus because you just lied. Call it like it is. Call it like it is. So, this brother here got really, really angry. So he was asking them to abandon their God, but to add this idol to their gods. Look at that, what he's saying. People will come to you to try to say, look, you could come to the bar, you just sit there, you know what? Come on. You don't have to drink. I'll buy you a Coke. Don't worry about it. So you say, well, I guess there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, there is. See, you know what they do? They say, but Jesus went into the byways and he hung around with the sinners. Okay. But we're living in a time now that they're persecuting us, well, just like they did back in the days. But, man, they're waiting for anything that you do to point their finger and say, I got you. And you say you're a Christian. Why, I oughta. So, no, we don't. We're not going to do this. Their exclusivity demonstrated intolerance of other views and threatened the unity with their God. I have to protect myself at all times. My wife, I don't care. If I got to get milk, I'll take the car and drive and burn my gas to go to Walmart. I'm not going to go to that liquor store. Because my luck, somebody will say, stop the car. Stop the car. Is that him? Take a picture. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's him, all right. That's that pastor right there. Man, I just went to get some milk. No, I'm coming out with Bacardi, with Budweiser. Yeah. So, no, you don't do that. So the king asked the ultimate question, who is the God who will deliver you from my hands? Verse 15, read it. Chapter 3. Who will deliver you out of my hands? You see the pride there? You see the arrogance there? Let me tell you something. As Christians, as his children, no man should bring fear unto you. No man. All they can do is send you home early. Did I say it right? Who can deliver you out of? Your life is in my hand, homie, right here. The problem was that he didn't understand the God they did serve. In my sacrifice and imagination, I can see that perhaps Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego huddled up before answering that. They probably said, okay, let's blow this guy's mind right here. Do you agree? Absolutely. Absolutely. Are you sure? Oh, yeah. They knew in whom they served. So perhaps they I don't know if they discussed it, but nevertheless, we are no longer, they were long away from home. Mom and daddy were not around. Mama wouldn't have, they wouldn't have known, I get a kick out of people. They go do some crazy thing. Well, the pastor ain't around. Hey, I did that for you. What's up with that? He's not around. God sees all things. Don't worry about me. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge anybody. It may hurt me a little bit, but I'm not going to be judged. I'm not going to judge you. But God sees all things. So, mom and daddy ain't around. What happened in Babylon stays in Babylon. So we say Vegas. We got Vegas now. Yeah. So it's better to be a servant of king's forces than ashes a king's furnace. So let's keep the king happy so we don't burn. I don't care who it is. I don't care what family member. The church is on. I'm here. You wait till you want to come? No? Then you wait till I get down. Get done. Yeah, get down, yeah. That's right. That's right. Are you hearing me? I'm not gonna you because so and so came from out of town. I don't care. This is my life. This is our life. This is what we do. Somebody help me now. The possibilities make great applications to our excuses. Boy, we can be quick. But they won't talk to me ever again. And but you don't understand. That's my grandmother. And he comes first. If we understand that, nothing is more important. Nothing is more important than our God. I love my wife, but he comes first. I love my children, my grandchildren. God comes first. That's the mentality we have to have. Somebody said, I don't think that's good. Well, that's your opinion. So look how they responded very wisely. Look at this in verse 17, chapter 3 and 17. Look at how they answered. Oh, our God, whom we serve, is able. Our God, whom we serve, is able. He's able. But still, they were willing to go into that and become ashes. So the strength of one's faith does not determine the outcome. The sovereignty of God will do whatever he wills and whatever brings him glory. And in this case, God spared them. But look at the miracle. God could not allow them to be martyrs. Isn't that something? He could have said, well, they're going to be martyrs for me. Nah, this king he's out of control. So I'm going to show him a thing or two. See, the reason you probably don't agree fully with what I'm saying is because you've never probably had an encounter with God. Maybe you never had an encounter where your life was in a situation. So the confrontation is what happened verse 13 through 18. That was a confrontation. You can only correct what you are willing to confront. Yes. You could only correct what you are willing to confront. What are you willing to confront? What are you willing to confront? Whatever it takes, my integrity, my love for him means more to me than me compromising. Somebody help me here. Give me change. Give me courage, rather. Give me courage. Give me strength through it all. Please, Lord, be by my side. I'm going through so much, Lord, but as long as I know that you're by my side, I could make it. I'll be all right, Jesus. I'll be all right. Then we have another issue that I learned is verse 19 through 23 when you get a chance. You know what I learned from this? Everything in life has consequences, brother. Let me say it again. Sooner or later, everyone sits down to the banquet of consequences. Sooner or later, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to deal with whatever it is. Nebuchadnezzar reacted with fury, with anger, with bitterness, with this rage in verse 19 through 23. As the lowering the blinds covering the window, his face expression changed. He was wroth. He was angry. Have you ever made someone so mad that you've seen the eyes pop up and his face got all distorted, or her? Anybody here? I know I did that when I was preaching a revival in Orange, California one time. And this guy came in, and everybody was afraid of this guy. I guess he was intimidating the saints, and the pastor was, he's whispering to the guy, he's here again, watch him, all this stuff. And this guy come in there. And he's intimidated, just his looks. So I'm the preacher now. I got the microphone. So I didn't know, but I saw his demeanor. This guy is nasty. He's like poking people in the front of the guy. And he's saying something. I'm preaching, bro. The word of God is going forth. Don't be messing around. If you don't want to hear, get out. So I went up there, and the guy that was in front of him, I went up there and I said, let me pray for you, brother. He was right behind him. So the guy's head was here, so I'm facing him. I did something I've never done before. In my whole face, I got distorted. God! In the name of Jesus! I mean, I'm ugly, but I got uglier. Believe me. My veins were popping out. And my face got red. I'm going, no! And I'm looking at this guy. He's going like this. He's looking away. You want to play? We can play. So when my face got all distorted, that brother said, I think I got to go now. Bye-bye. And he left. But that to me was righteous distortion. But it worked. But could you imagine seeing someone angry, ready to kill you? Wow. His temple, the veins are popping up, and it seems like you hear every heartbeat this brother has. It's amazing. But this is what is going on here. I got to hurry. My time is almost up. But here we see the error of losing one's temper. Have you ever seen people get so angry? Man, they blow fuses. Everybody around gets uncomfortable. That's what Nebuchadnezzar was doing. The most powerful man in the world at that time would not believe that someone will defile him. Defiance. So he ordered them bound, and he says, get that thing hotter. He wanted to make sure they was going to teach him a lesson. I want it hotter. So If he wanted more severe punishment, he would have probably lowered and boiled them to death slowly, but he didn't do that. He wanted to just get them crispy. He was so angry. The extreme heat will eventually destroy the king's best men. And you know what I learned from that? That when we lose our temper, we often hurt those closest to us. That's what happened to him. His best men, he lost because of his anger. He said, get in there, best guys. And they died. When you get angry, the ones that are suffering the most are the ones around you. We don't know if Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego talked on the way to the furnace. I don't know, but they were probably saying, the Lord has got us. Don't worry, brothers. But we know that the furnace looked like just red. I mean, completely. It was amazing. So the furnace was so hot. And these three Hebrew heroes, God did a miracle because they stood their grounds. They did not compromise. And you may say, you don't know what I'm going through. Maybe I don't, but I know the God that we serve. Whatever it is that you're going through, God will make you. He will help you through. And he did it for these men. And so plan one didn't work out as well, so they had a backup plan. Fellows, it's been a good knowing you, but I'll see you on the other side. I don't know if that's what they were saying to each other, but I could imagine. But if you spend your time hoping someone will suffer the consequences for what they did to you, to your heart, when they broke it, and when you're allowing them to hurt you the second time in your mind. The first time they hurt you, but because of our bitterness, we wanted to get them back. Brethren, that's not the way it works. So we spend your time hoping for someone to suffer. But what they did to you, what they did to your heart, then you're allowing them to hurt you a second time in your mind. Because now you got to live with it. Everything has consequences. We all make choices, but in the end, our choices makes us. For the good or the bad. Can I say it again? Are you all right? Whatever choices that we make, at the end, our choices will make us. So, I'm going to just wrap this up because I think I could just jump from all this. But you get the message, don't you? Did you get it? This is what I learned, brethren. This is what I learned coming up in the kingdom. I realized that people will try you. Never say mean words out of anger. I learned that. I learned that very young in the kingdom. Never say mean words out of anger. Your anger will pass, but your mean words can scar that person for life. Are you hearing me now? This is what I learned here. This is what I learned. So, use kind words. Or just be silent and be done with it. And say nothing. So in closing, brethren, there are two applications should be expanded upon this closing of this Bible study. First, we should be faithful to Jesus at all times. Secondly, we should be fearless of man. Don't let nobody, I don't care who they are, rob your peace. They didn't give it to you. Why would they take it from you? But they didn't take it, you're giving it. So, let us not pray to be sheltered from danger or trials. Don't pray that way. But be fearless when facing those trials and those difficult times. You got to be fearless and say, God, you're with me. If they throw me in the fire furnace, it doesn't matter. Because at the end, I'm going to be with you anyway. So why are we compromising? Why? I don't understand that. Life without God is senseless. Did you know that? It's senseless. I look around, I see people raising their children. Those kids don't even know nothing about God. They don't even bring them to Sunday school. That's heartbreaking. This is why the church is too quiet. Because we got too much problems. We got to do this and that and there and here and there. And children are suffering because the church is not doing what we're supposed to do. So life without Jesus is senseless, meaningless, full of despair and troubles. That's what it is. That's what it is. So I say to you, brethren, in Jesus' name, I don't know if you learned anything from this, but I did learn something, that God is with me, regardless. Lately, I've been very sensitive. I don't like crying, and the other day I had to cry in front of the brethren. I don't like to cry. I don't like it. But sometimes, the closer you get to Jesus, then you understand. Real men do cry. I think I'll say it again. Real men do cry. But then you don't want to marry a crybaby either, I lost my job. I got a flat going to work. Nah, I'm not talking about that. We're talking about real men. Cry with purpose. Cry because they feel what he feels. So no matter what, brethren, we are fearless in the hands of God. Do you believe that? Do you believe it? Well, let's act like it. And let's roar like lions. In Jesus' name. Amen. Well, we're going to pray real quickly for Evangelist Felicia Hernandez. She's going to get